There are very few times, Steve, when we should be able to say we told you so, but
Oh, we should say it a lot more often.
because we're right a lot, A broken clock is right twice a day, but we're right more than that. And we were not wrong about this. We were right about it. The Bucs had to do something, anything, to improve their backup quarterback position. And again, and John Romano mentioned this in his column, saying that it's not personal, Kyle Trask, but you might want to take it that way. They went ahead and signed Teddy Bridgewater to a 1-year deal, brought him in, I guess, when I found out about it, it was before practice on, what was the day? Tuesday, I believe?
Correct.
Yeah, before practice Tuesday. And the word was that I reported that he was there to visit and take a physical. Well, anytime you hear physical, yeah, they're going to sign him because what's the point of a physical, right? And Teddy Bridgewater is not showing up and getting on that plane or driving to Tampa from his hometown of Miami unless he knows he has the job, right? They've been talking for a while. And of course, that made sense because Todd Bowles has been saying we're looking at quarterbacks. And the quarterback turned out to be Teddy, bridge over troubled water. And so here he is in the flesh, comes walking out to practice with assistant general manager Mike Greenberg. And I don't know really what he has left in the tank at his age. And he did play last year. He was picked up after his high school football coaching season when he won a state title at Miami Northwestern, and he went to Detroit, and he actually threw a pass in the divisional playoff game. That's how much confidence they had in him. But I'll say this, you know what you're going to get, or at least the Bucs will know, if and when Teddy Bridgewater has to play. There was just no way the Bucs could predict what Kyle Trask is going to give them in a game that they may have to win to get in the postseason or to advance or what have you. And, for as much as Trask has done to improve, and he's been there 5 years, and they do like him, and they even said that for now, and I emphasize for now, he's still their number 2 quarterback. They just say that, he brings a wealth of experience. And, Bull said, obviously, we don't have it. And, Kyle's been here a few years, but he hasn't really played. And we got a new guy, which is, the Connor Beslak, that's, from a small college, Bowling Green. And he says, so we need the extra arm. And we think we need some experience in that room. The more experience, the better. And that's the key. It's about experience. And not just, do we need him to play if Baker goes down, which is obvious, but also I think there's value to Baker having Teddy Bridgewater in that quarterback room because, every guy at that position has an assignment during the week, to help prepare the quarterback who's starting that game for what he's going to see. You may do some cut-ups on, 3rd and 4. You may just do some goal line cut-ups. Like you're looking at the defense and trying to find some clues to help your starting quarterback. That's part of the game planning, part of being in that room together. And Bridgewater has seen it all. He's played against pretty much every damn team in the NFL. I think he's played for, it seems like half of them anyway. And he's always been a very efficient player when they've had to call on him. So is there a great cast of, guys walking around like him that they could have selected from? No, there's not. But in as much as, this is somebody that Josh Grizzard had with the Dolphins a few years ago in 2022 when he was down there in Miami. There's a familiarity, obviously, with Todd Bowles. And I think it was inevitable that they had to do this, Steve. We talked about it night after night. They had to find themselves a guy who has played before, and this is what they've settled on.
You always say if you have to go to your backup for a game,
yeah,
you need him to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's 3 games, you hope he wins 1, but maybe more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This definitely gives the Bucs a better shot at that.
Exactly.
Someone who's got experience, someone who can jump in. And to be honest, this can help Kyle Trask in that room too.
It can.
As Baker's preparing for the game, Bridgewater can be helping him too.
Yeah.
I mean, this can help a lot of different things in his career. But for the Bucs, who have made it no secret, last year they started off saying the Super Bowl is the goal.
Right.
This year they've leaned really far into it.
They have.
That they are going for the Super Bowl. And you had a chance to upgrade your backup quarterback from a backup that had really never played before, a few snaps here and there is it, to get Teddy Bridgewater in there, where if you need to go to him for a game or two, you feel a lot more comfortable. As you asked Todd Bowles, if Baker Mayfield's hurt and you had to go to Kyle Trask, how do you sleep at night? He said, I sleep fine. He'll do great. Well, he'll sleep even better now.
I would think. And I don't know that he was BSing me when he said that. I really don't. I assume he was being truthful. But look, think about this. Teddy Bridgewater was a high school coach who won a state title in his first year coaching. We can get into why he got dismissed at Miami Northwestern, which was Levante David's high school. But after that season, after winning the state title, no less than the Detroit Lions, who were in the NFC Championship game a year earlier and were actually one of the favorites to make it back and maybe go to a Super Bowl, right, in the NFC. No less than the Lions called on Teddy Bridgewater and said, hey, for this playoff game, right, you haven't played all year, don't know our system, don't know. For this playoff game, we need you to be on the roster and be there in case something happens to Jared Goff. And I'll be damned if there wasn't a play where Jared Goff had to come off the field. We didn't know when it happened if he was coming back or not, but he actually came off the field. Bridgewater went in and threw a pass and completed it, and then Goff was able to go back in and finish the game. But if you're a team like the Detroit Lions that trust somebody like that in that situation that hasn't been, playing all season, then yeah, he's a pretty special guy. I mean, he's a pretty special guy to be able to do that. And I think for that reason, it's not just anybody. What's ironic about Bridgewater is, and I remember this vividly, but when Jason got here, Jason Light, in 2014, I think that was the year. I think that was the year they drafted Mike Evans, 6th overall. Now, there was a scenario where Bridgewater, who was sort of falling out of the first round, had he made it to the second round and got to number 6, 5 or 6 in the second round, the Bucs probably would have drafted him. Now, he went, I want to say, 32nd that year in the draft. I think he was the last pick of the first round. But regardless, they brought him in to the building and made him one of their top 30 visits. They get 30 visits with potential draft picks. And they were very high on Bridgewater. He had a great career at Louisville, and so they did their homework on him. They liked him then. And more recently, although it's been a few years now, when they decided to move on from Jameis Winston after that ill-fated Atlanta game, back-to-back losses that they had to end the 2019 season, he throws the pick six to Deion Jones in overtime, and Bruce Arians is walking off the field with Tom Moore and says, "Well, that's it," meaning we need a new quarterback. The guy who was the leader in the clubhouse, because I remember Clyde Christensen did all the homework on the different free agent quarterbacks and who was available. And you remember, I think Phillip Rivers was out there, and he says, I'm sitting here and I'm doing cut-ups of Tom Brady and writing intangibles, 1-6 Super Bowls, that kind of stuff. And there was this great class, and Bridgewater was among them. And Teddy Bridgewater was going to be a Buccaneer quarterback until Tom Brady showed up. And I can remember this vividly. Like, there was some speculation about Brady talking to maybe the Chargers or a team in LA, that sort of thing, and the Bucs were kind of in it. The minute, and I mean the minute, that Bridgewater signed with the Carolina Panthers, I said, Brady is coming here, because Bridgewater was all but going to be the Bucs quarterback until Brady made his decision. And then shortly after Bridgewater announced he was going to Carolina, bam, Brady comes to Tampa, and it was a domino effect. So they've come oh so close, third time's the charm, all that sort of stuff. That's exactly what's happened here is that, as Jason Light said, sometimes you get what you want, but you just don't get it when you want it. And, Bridgewater is going to fulfill what was sort of his destiny to be a Buccaneer. So, look, again, I assume this guy looks like he's in good shape. I assume he's going to be a quick study. Josh Grizzard and him have obviously had the same offense down in Miami. There's some principles I'm sure that Grizzard has inputted into this offense here in Tampa. So we'll see, and also we'll see if in fact there's any way that he plays Saturday night. I don't think it's inconceivable. Probably not the preference for them. I got a good sense from Todd Bowles today that we're not going to see Baker Mayfield in the game, and probably not many of the starters to start this first preseason game because they have a practice and a controlled scrimmage with the Tennessee Titans on Thursday. And he's going to get all those starters, all the work, right? All the work that they can give him under a controlled situation without, tackling to the ground, without hitting the quarterback, all of that. And then the rookies will turn around and the younger players will turn around and they'll be the ones playing in the preseason game. But you got to have a quarterback or two. And right now they only have two on the roster. So I don't think it's inconceivable that it may be too quick for him to get out there, but I do think he'll get lots of work in the preseason once he's up to speed with the offense.
I can tell you, I like to flip around stations when I'm driving.
Yeah,
streaming is great for that.
right.
So I
and
flipped
you,
on.
Of course, you go to ESPN Tampa Bay, but then you move on.
Oh yeah. But I like to flip around other markets sometimes. I'll just listen to stuff.
Yeah.
Listen to WFAN. I'll listen to
Oh, you're
WIP
talking
in
national.
Philly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I flipped into 97 won the ticket in Detroit today.
Oh, nice.
They were ticked that the Lions didn't re-sign Bridgewater because their backups are Hendon Hooker and Kyle Allen. And
and that was the problem that I think
we're all in. We need a better backup quarterback.
Same deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were. I mean, the fans and the Mike Valenti and Rod Beard and all them were like, they were mad. They were like, mad is not the right word, but disappointed that the Lions didn't bring back Bridgewater. Instead, he goes to Tampa.
Yeah, I could understand that. I could really understand that. Ted's he's a special guy. I mean, to play as long as he's had for as many organizations, I mean, his resume is ridiculous. I think he's played for half the teams in the NFL. And you don't do that unless you're a quick study. You can't do that unless you bring value to a team as soon as you walk in the building. And you can't do that unless they're comfortable playing you in those situations. And he checks all those boxes, checks all those boxes. I mean, this guy came out, he was on fire, early in his career in the NFL. So, he's had a long career, done a lot of things, played with a lot of different coaches and systems. And I know just seeing the reaction to him on the sideline, this is a guy, Steve, and guys in the league like this. This is one of those guys when he walks into name the building, right? Because of what he's done and the type of person he is, he commands respect immediately. Like you could see players, the Mike Evans and obviously Levante's known him forever, but different guys gravitating toward him because there's respect. There's mad respect for somebody that's accomplished some of the things he did. Was he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? No. Did he bounce around, towards the end of his career because nobody saw him as a bona fide maybe starter and he became kind of this journeyman for a while? Yeah, that's true. But look, there's a lot of value if you can get a good one. And it seems as if all those contending teams in the NFC and the AFC, they have a dude that's played, they have a guy that's played that they can lean on if they have to in a short situation and a missed couple game situation. And I do feel a little twinge of sadness for Trask because he hasn't done anything wrong per se. Maybe he hasn't done enough right either, but he couldn't put himself in the game, right? Tom Brady was not coming out. He got a mop-up duty in Atlanta one year when they had wrapped up the division. They wound up losing that game, and that's why they went 8-9 that season. But that's been pretty much it. And then he had his chance Like, he had his chance when Mayfield came in here, 1 year, $4 million. I don't think that knocked anybody's socks off. Mayfield had to win the job. Trask was there pass for pass with him at one point. Like I said, Canales convinced me that Trask was pulled ahead a little bit because Baker had a bad week indoors, or a couple of bad practices. But he got beat out. That was your opportunity. You got beat out by Baker Mayfield, and Baker's played lights out ever since. And you could have been you were a free agent this year. You could have gone to another team, but you chose to stay right here in Tampa Bay, and they paid him, well in excess of like $2.5 million. So it wasn't chump change. Like the Bucs wanted him back. They paid him to come back, but you also knew that Baker Mayfield was still the starting quarterback, and that was going to take an injury to get you in there. Now it may take 2 injuries. And I just have this sense, Steve, and tell me I'm wrong, that Bridgewater doesn't walk in this building unless A, he knows he's on the team. They're not going to cut him and try to bring him back on a practice squad or something. And B, he has a reasonable idea that he's going to be the number 2.
I think that's look, he has a relationship with Grizzard already.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to a team that's one of the favorites to win. He's not coming in to be the third quarterback. Period.
No, because you don't even know if you can dress 3. I mean, that's the thing. You might have to put one guy on the inactive list.
Yep. No, he came in when he flew in. He knew he's signing, assuming that the Bucs passed his physical, and he knew he was the backup quarterback. And Kyle Trask will be number 3 now, assuming they don't release Kyle Trask at some point. But look, you can feel bad for Kyle, and sometimes this game is harsh in that regard. All sports are. But you know what he can do? He can go ball out in the preseason.
Hell yeah.
And show what he can do.
Hell yeah, he can.
Right. And he's played the last few preseasons, and he's had some good moments and some bad moments.
Yeah. I actually think he's better, and I've known guys I think he's a better game player than he is a practice player. I just do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd rather have that than the other way around. But he can go out there in the preseason and light some people up, gain some more confidence from his coaches. The coaches, look, they like him. He's been here 5 years.
Yeah, they wouldn't have brought him back if they didn't like him.
No, and he's a good guy. He works hard. He checks every box, except the one he can't. It's the old George Thorogood song. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Every time you say the one thing that I don't have is experience, but then you don't play me. So how am I supposed to get experience? Those are all valid points. Now, again, I go back to the fact that he could have won the job against Mayfield, and he didn't, and that's why he's still a number 2 or soon to be number 3. But no, I just like when it's sort of validation, because I go out there and I watch the practices, and sometimes I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, I'm not a coach. I'm not a talent evaluator. I've been around football, for 30 years plus, and I've seen a lot of NFL football and players, but I'm not always right. Sometimes I'll ask somebody something and they'll go like, what? But in this case, I just, it's the way they're talking about their football team. And it's not false bravado, right? Like, look, anything can happen. We've talked about injuries and
sure.
This season can be over in 5 minutes if the wrong people get hurt. You've already down Tristan Wirfs. You're already down Chris Godwin. But we know pretty much like where this team is at, adding Hassan Reddick, getting Savasier Dennis back. Antoine Winfield Jr. turns back into Antoine Winfield Jr. You got a lot of things that need to happen here. But their draft was very, very good. Obviously, Emeka Egbuka is a stud. It kind of mitigates losing Chris Godwin maybe for the first part of the year. But my goodness, when he gets back, if everybody's still healthy, they've really got, 4 A++ receivers. And, you're going to have to survive Tristan Wirfs. Like, there's no question about it. Like, that's a major freaking injury for them that could have a real impact on wins and losses to start the season. But this is a legit team. Like, they got to play. No one's just going to hand it to them. And, they love flying under the radar and being discounted. I think they're much more comfortable as the underdog. But now people are giving them flowers and kind of buttering them up. And maybe that will be, something they can't handle. But they have those expectations themselves. It's I heard Gruden talking about it the other day, and he's, like you said, he's just like, you think they're afraid of the Philadelphia Eagles? They ran them out of the building, and they did. And so if you're as good or you think you can beat the Eagles or you got the recipe for that, win your division, maybe get a home playoff game, and then take your chances with who's next. But um, yeah, it just, again, it's validation that sort of what we see is what other people see. And if it wasn't Bridgewater, I'm not sure they're doing it. I don't think they're just going to get any ham and egger off the street right now, to come in and be a camp arm. You can find guys to be an arm for you in camp. That's not hard to find at all, but that's not what they wanted. They wanted somebody that was going to help them. They wanted somebody who's going to improve the position, and they did that with Teddy. So looking forward to seeing how fast he's integrated. I mean, obviously he knows probably a little bit of carryover from what Josh did in Miami or what they did in Miami when Josh was there. But it's a lot to learn. Great reception from his teammates, his new teammates, especially the guys that know him, like Levante and others. We'll see. But the good news is Baker was practicing again. His hand contusion is healed up, so that's a good thing.
Well, the good news is he's practicing. The bad news is he can't use smelling salts anymore.
Oh my God. I saw that story and I immediately thought, oh boy, this isn't going to be good for Bake. Coming out of that tunnel, he's got those salts, man. He's like, woo, that's how he feels dangerous. Have you ever done a smelling salt? You ever really inhaled one?
I have not.
Brother, let me just tell you. I did it one time just to see, because I thought, what's the big deal about this? Like, really? You know what I mean? Like, what is this like?
Mm-hmm.
And I got a hold of one and mistakenly put it close to my nostril and thought, in for a dime, right? Took a big inhale, just really sucked up that fume, and I could feel the burn from my nostril into my brain, down the spinal cord. Like, this thing, man, it traveled. It traveled. There is no joke now. It is no joke. And I think you made the best point before we came on to the podcast was, well, they used to use that to kind of wake people up from when they were concussed. And you're right.
They were just groggy. They were just groggy. They weren't concussed. They were groggy.
No, they're a little wobbly. Yeah, just a little groggy, just a little sniff. Oh, okay, I feel better now. You saw it in boxing a lot, right? That's where I used to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Was in boxing.
Yep.
But yeah, Baker, I don't know how many times I've seen him come out of that tunnel. He's got that quick smelling salt. It's like, ooh.
How long did that feeling last? Like, I've never done it. So.
Oh, it's you know what? It's so comprehensively cleansing that, I mean, the pain doesn't last that long, thank God, right? Mm-hmm. But like, you feel the burn. I mean, there's no question. Okay. And then after that, if the lights don't come on, then you're probably going to be in the back of an ambulance because it's juice, man. It's really juice. Like, it's a whoo, like,
so is it like 2 or 3 minutes and you're back to whatever, or is it you still feeling a
maybe longer than that, just depending, like maybe a little bit longer than that, but yeah.
You mean about 19 minutes?
No, I don't know if it's going to be 19 or not, but 19 minutes is important sometimes, especially in the news business. But yeah, no, I think it just kind of like it hits a switch, right? It hits the trigger switch, like it turns the lights back on and they stay on, if that makes sense. You're not in pain, you're not wired up, you're not burning your brain at that moment for very long. But those lights do come on. Is you find out what bulbs you're missing, that's for sure. Like, if it doesn't wake you up, then you probably need to go see somebody. But yeah, it's also become a routine. It could become a real routine with athletes. So I don't know what precipitated them from banning it. I assume it's the concussion concerns, and
that's what I was reading. It was, yeah.
Yeah. Now Baker has another vice that I hope they, if they ban that, he may be done. And that is, he likes those little smokeless tobacco pouches. You know what I mean? Were they Sizzons, or I don't know what they call the thing, what the kids call them these days. But I've seen them do that a little bit and get a little nicotine charge, which is the most addictive drug in the world. So that
Well,
I
back in
have.
the 70s, the players used to smoke heaters at halftime. I mean,
Heck yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. There's that famous picture of Len Dawson in Super Bowl I.
Yep.
On the bench, I think at halftime, or maybe in his locker room or whatever, smoking a heater.
Yep. Bob Trumpy used to tell me the Bengals halftimes that like half the team's in the bathroom smoking as Paul Brown's going over whatever adjustments and stuff because they didn't want to do it in the locker room. So
that's great. You imagine those old days were like, man. It's crazy how we've evolved as a society and taken a lot of the fun out of it too. I mean, you remember who was it? Earl Weaver, maybe, Jim Leland. There's some old managers
Leland for sure
that used to have the heaters going on the bench, man, the whole time. Just heaters going all over the place. I mean, look, again, evolved as a society. We want to be healthier. We all want to do the right thing here. But I can tell you, when I started this job, at the old sombrero over at Tampa Stadium, after the games, and Jerry Jones still does this. Jerry Jones has an actual tap in the press box of beer, of draft beer. But they would load up one of those deep, kind of laundry sink things with ice cold beer, and they're all in cans. I believe they weren't bottles, but they were cans. And it was almost not necessarily encouraged, but kind of a rite of passage that you'd come up from the locker room, grab yourself a beer, sit down, go write your story. Now, I don't know that they read better, but you probably cared less, But yeah, it was the old, the old stereotype of the old sports editor sitting there with a beer and typing out his story.
I think Jack McKeon, the former manager of the Marlins, Reds, and others, I think he would light up cigars in his office after every game.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of baseball managers that did the cigar thing. A ton of them. Just a ton of them. Because early in the days, I would cover spring training, and we'd go to Al Lang or, Clearwater or Dunedin or wherever the spring training game was, man. I remember going back there and all the guys standing around. So, all right, Skip, what'd you think of so-and-so? And they'd be fired up. Yeah, I tell you, have the big stogie in the mouth, and away they went. But that was fairly common. So yeah, no smelling salts. They're just ruining the game, for everybody. I don't know what they're doing. So pretty fun stuff. All right. Once you guys get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall, if you care about football the way we do, they're doing this thing down there with their Chronomat watches, NFL team watches, 32 team watches, while supplies last. These things are absolutely beautiful. They got the team colors on the face of the watch, the logo, you name it. They got men's watches that are spectacular. Great customer service, man. And watches for your wife, for your girlfriend. These are sports watches. They're incredibly durable. They're beautiful. And she gets to choose from just a vast array of colored wristbands that she's going to enjoy. It's Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. You're going to love the customer service. Go in there, spend some time, have a drink. I'm not kidding. You're going to walk out of there with the best timepiece you've ever owned. Breitling Boutique. All right, the Rays, meanwhile, they're in Anaheim, and they lost the first game out there. They've got this horrid road trip that they're trying to survive.
Breaking news.
Dun, 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 dun.
The Rays found an offense.
Well, no way.
They put up a touchdown in the fourth inning.
In one inning?
In one inning.
Wow. And Bridgewater was playing?
No. Yeah, well, they signed Bridgewater, and he took him right down the field. And
there you go. Touchdown, Mike Evans.
No, for the Rays, right now as we record this, is in the fifth inning, but they're up 7-0.
A 7 spot. Wow.
Yeah. Brandon Lau had a home run to start, a 2-run shot, and then hits galore after that.
I saw a crazy stat. I can't quote it because it's not in front of me, but like their record when they score 4 runs versus when they score below 4 runs
it's incredible.
is incredibly vastly different. Like,
Yes.
flip it. It's just so different.
Yeah, well, and it's going to be tough for them. And I think it was Evan Klosky that had this stat, so I want to credit it.
The great Evan Klosky. He's great.
Going into Tuesday night, so you'll know the outcome of this game when you hear this. We don't know it yet, but the Rays have 48 games remaining.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go 32-16.
Yikes.
Just to get to 87 wins.
Wow. And that doesn't guarantee you squadouche.
You might get a playoff spot with that. You might get the third wild card, but it's no guarantee. It might take more than that.
So you're saying you got to win twice as many as you lose from here on out.
Yep.
Oof. You got to meatloaf everybody.
Yeah. The Rays went 25-9 in that great stretch of theirs.
Yeah.
If they lose tonight, which at this point they're not going to, but
had they lost,
had they lost, they would have been 9-25 since.
That's insane. That's just so you held the record up to a mirror, and that's what you did. That's crazy. How can you be that wildly inconsistent? Like that crazy good to crazy bad, you know? Like, come on, man. And it is really,
and that's a long stretch. It wasn't like that was a week or
no,
two,
it's it's a month. And here's the thing. It's essentially the same guys. You didn't have a ton of changes.
No.
You know?
I mean, the bullpen started kind of
a little
showing
bit.
some this, and then
the
offense kind of went into a shell,
but there was same guys that produced the 20 whatever and whatever, you know. Wasn't like they dialed up a bunch of new players and that's why they lost. That's, I mean, such a roller coaster for this team this year. You know, you think back like when Steinbrenner opened, they lose 9 out of 11, and you know, everybody's bitching about the ballpark and you know all this kind of stuff, but they were playing so damn many home games that they needed to take full advantage of it then. And then they hit their stride, and then they got hot as any team in baseball after, say, May 20th, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's flipped over again. It's just so wild. You know, same guys for the most part, same players, you know. It's just, how can you explain it sometimes? But
baseball is a funny game.
It's a baseball.
Yeah. Chandler Simpson back in the starting lineup though on Tuesday night, so that was good to see.
That's helpful. Yeah, that's very helpful. They're going to need him. Maybe they get this one. Maybe they start winning series, which is pretty much like we just outlined. They have to do. They're going to win pretty much 2 out of every 3.
Basically, got to take 2 out of every 3. So
yeah, you got to meatloaf everybody from here on out. So they can get this one. And then take 2 out of 3 and move on to the next city and see. Maybe every once in a while you have one of those road trips that you go, wow. I remember it might have been the same. It might have been this season, man. Either this season or last. I remember they went out and took like a west trip, maybe not all the way to the West Coast, and they obliterated people. You know, they came back like, I don't know, 5 or 6-1 or something like that.
Yeah, they're in that hot stretch. I mean, they played well on the road too. So
yeah, it could happen, but it's got to happen fast, really fast, because I don't think that many wins is going to buy you much. So. I've almost lost interest in the race. Almost. Football is here, unless they become really relevant fast. I have a feeling that I'm just going to lose sight of them after a while.
Well, we're still a couple months from hockey starting.
Ugh. Couple months? Wait, don't they go to September training camp?
Well, training camp, but I'm saying like the season opener.
Yeah.
But did you see the NHL release the logo for the Stadium Series game?
No.
Which will be played February 1st at Raymond James Stadium between the Lightning and Bruins. Yes.
Okay. Or actually next year, 2026.
Correct. Yeah, this upcoming season. So, but yeah, they unveiled the logo for it. So,
what's it look like? Palm trees and stuff?
No, it's more pirate ship themed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there is a pirate ship in the building. So
the game is being held on Gasparilla weekend. So.
Oh, okay. We're going
Gasparilla Saturday. It's Sunday. So.
I don't know how it goes over to have, that series outside when it's 100 degrees, but there they are skating.
February 1st, you're hoping it's not 100 degrees.
Well, you hope not, but it could be 80. You just don't know. But let's put it this way: they don't have to worry about snow. I mean, it could be cold, but I mean, the coldest thing is going to be the ice, and I guess that they can keep it fairly playable, even in the South.
Yep, they've got a plan to. I mean, obviously they have the chillers underneath, but I think they got plans to how they're going to keep it cold. Right up to game time if they have to. So.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to have to, but That's another case.
And by
Pretty
the way,
cool, though.
Taylor Walsh just made an error.
What's with him lately? He's had like 3 errors in about 5 games.
Yeah, it's his 4th error of the season.
Yeah, 3 of them have come
a fairly
recently.
routine ball for him. I mean, he had to backhand it to his right, but fairly routine for him.
Kind of strange. He's had about, like I said, 3 in about 5 or 6 games. Yeah, don't let your defense down. Who's the starting pitcher tonight? Oh, you said it was Pepio.
Your guy, Pepio.
He is my guy. And the weird thing is that it's not a day game, so I don't know what he's doing out there. Can you even see the catcher?
It's not a day game, and he's up 7-0. So maybe he needs to pitch at night.
Maybe they give the guy a little rest and not sweat him to death in the first 3 innings. It is crazy though that he was hitting every afternoon, every game, home or away.
It sure seemed like it, man.
It was nuts.
Here's another day game. Oh, Pepio's on the mound.
It's like, hey, Ryan, it's really hot. You ready to go? Yeah, man.
Yep. Well, now he just gave up a home run, so it's 7-2. 7-2.
Damn.
Gave up the safety.
The safety, and now it'll kick off. Well, we'll see how long baseball can keep us interested, and we'll see if we can begin more interested in football. I'm not a preseason guy. I'm not jacked up about the joint practices either. Although Cam Ward will be in town, so we'll get to see him throw it up. That'll be fun,
It's going to be interesting this preseason because I've seen some teams, and I know for sure the Bengals are.
Yeah.
Their starters are playing at least a few series this week.
Really? Okay.
And more
That's
next
old school.
week.
That's old school.
The last few seasons they've started so slowly.
Yeah.
Last season they lost to New England the first week. Mm-hmm. If they win that game, they're in the playoffs.
It's a concern. I think that's why Todd Bowles was saying that, he wants his guys to play more. What he didn't say specifically was, does he want them to play more in each game or more in a certain game? And I tend to think now it's going to be more about a certain game than every game. So, but listen, I would be the worst head coach in football because having done this for so long, I wouldn't play anybody. I swear to God, like these guys have played since they were 8 and 10 years old. They get lots of practice time. Maybe the tackling will suffer a little bit, but I cannot fathom losing one of my best players on the offensive line, at receiver, running back, defense. Like, I don't have a chance. The best chance I have is to get every guy to the starting line. For every guy I lose, and for what? For preseason to get them in shape. Like, what are we doing? Like, they know the plays. I know you got to execute. I know you need to have some game time, but with these joint practices, I'm telling you, you can go pretty much full speed. You just don't tackle guys to the ground. So I'd be the worst. I just wouldn't play anyone. I swear to God. And if I lose early in the season, if I lose a game or two, okay, we'll hit our stride. We'll get that back. But at least I have a chance to get it back because I haven't gotten my best players hurt. That's something you just can't stand for. So anyway, get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you check out the NFL Watches, 104th year anniversary of that. Team watches, while supplies last, that's key. They got the chronomats and Navitimers for men. Women's watches, sports watches as well. Lots of different wristbands for her. It's Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. Thanks for listening, everybody. For Steve Versnick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day.